This is the ABC Evening News with Harry Reasoner and Barbara Walters. And tonight, Howard K. Smith in Washington and Peter Jennings in Peking.
Good evening from Washington. Barbara is on vacation. Our top stories: Leon Jaworski says the Korean influence buying scandal is similar in some ways to the Watergate cover-up. And the key man in that scandal, Tong Sun Park, comes out of hiding.
Here in Peking, the Secretary of State, Mr. Vance, sees a museum, acrobats and magicians, and for the first time, a leading member of the new Chinese government.
Also, a court rules the State Department can look through Richard Nixon's packages for missing state gifts, and I'll have a comment about the decline in American education. Harry?
The long, tumultuous, and so far inconclusive investigation of charges of South Korean influence buying in Congress has centered around one man. He's a Korean businessman, Tong Sun Park, and it was through his hands, so the allegations go, that vast amounts of money passed. For months, Park has been unavailable for questioning. Today, he broke his silence, as Irv Chapman reports.
The central figure in the case surfaced today in his native Korea. He made a surprise appearance at the office of the public prosecutor to be questioned about his dealings. Later, in his own business office, turning on the charm that helped him in what he called his hobby, collecting political friends. Park said the allegation he was an illegal bagman for South Korea's government was absurd.
Whatever I have done in the United States, especially in Washington, has been consummated or has been done for my own personal accounts as a private businessman. And it seems to me that many people are trying to create certain allegations that I must be a lobbyist designated by Korean government and came to Washington with a sack full of money and started to distribute. This sort of allegation is simply not true.
Park said he had no need or obligation to meet with Leon Jaworski or any other American investigator. He said he'd leave Korea when the health of the 70-year-old mother he came to visit improves. But he's not even considering a return to Washington, which he called his second home. This is Irv Chapman, ABC News.
This is Vic Ratner in Washington. Leon Jaworski came to the House Ethics Committee to talk about how he was going to handle the investigation that involves Tong Sun Park's alleged influence peddling. Jaworski pointedly reminded the members of the committee about some disturbing similarities that he said he found between this case and the Watergate investigation.
There are instances where candor has been lacking. There are instances where cooperation has not been forthcoming. And there are instances where active evasion has occurred. I advise those who may believe that the investigation will blow over or prove fruitless to take a closer look. It will not go away until the American people are satisfied that all of the significant facts have been laid bare.
The committee discussed a possible contempt citation against this woman, Susie Park Thompson, a former congressional aide with unexplained Korean connections, who has so far refused to testify, demanding a public hearing. Committee sources told ABC News that Ms. Thompson has now agreed to testify before the committee staff tomorrow to avoid facing contempt of Congress charges. And as for Tong Sun Park, Leon Jaworski said later that he still expects to get Park's testimony, but he didn't say how. Vic Ratner, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
Richard Nixon lost another court battle today. As a result, there'll be a government search of some 200 boxes of his personal papers and other possessions. The object, some missing gifts. Barry Dunsmore explains.
During his presidency, Richard Nixon received some 2,000 gifts from foreign governments. Of these, some 50 are either missing or unaccounted for. The Shah of Iran was one of the most generous donors, and a dozen of his gifts are among the missing, including a magnificent Persian rug and some expensive jewelry. It was to locate these missing items that the State Department petitioned the court to have the General Services Administration go through the Nixon material in the National Archives. Nixon lawyers opposed it, but Judge Aubrey Robinson ruled that the GSA can search the Nixon crates. After the hearing, Chief of Protocol Evan Dobell explained his motives.
I have no desire to further impugn the integrity of Richard Nixon or his family, but there are sufficient allegations that give me concern to proceed. I quite honestly hope there is nothing wrong. We have gone long enough with this tragedy, and I would like to conclude it.
Later today, the National Archives displayed some of the gifts the Nixons did turn over, including a gold clock from General de Gaulle and an Egyptian antiquity from President Sadat. Their value, an estimated $2 million. Outside observers are estimating the missing items at $500,000, although there is no way of knowing for certain. According to the Foreign Gifts Act, every gift from a foreign government valued at over $50 must be reported to the Chief of Protocol. The present confusion over whether some of the Nixon gifts are actually missing or simply unaccounted for is because during Nixon's entire presidency, this was not done. Barry Dunsmore, ABC News at the National Archives.
White House Press Secretary Jody Powell says that some of the criticism of Budget Director Burt Lance has been grossly unfair, and he calls some of the questions about Lance's financial dealings foolishness. But the questions and the criticism have not subsided. Dan Courts reports.
This is Burt Lance, an incompetent and sloppy manager, as seen by Herb Bloch, the country's most famous political cartoonist. Herb Bloch also depicts Lance as a card sharp taking up the church collection. And other cartoonists see him as the bent lance of a presidential knight in shining armor. Columnists and editorial writers across the country suggest that whether Lance did anything illegal or not, he's become a serious political liability for Mr. Carter. And the situation is likely to get worse before it gets better. In 2 weeks, the Senate Governmental Affairs Committee will launch a new set of hearings in this room, and its members will move away from the question of how Lance got all his loans to the question of why he needed them in the first place. According to Lance's own January financial statement, he and his wife had total assets of $7.9 million. But he also had debts of more than $5.3 million. That put him in a financial bind, because even before he entered the government, his total income was $450,000, and he had to make interest payments on his loans of about $400,000 a year, which left him with only $50,000 to maintain a grand lifestyle. He owned this 400-acre farm and a big house in Calhoun, a mansion in Atlanta, and a vacation home at the posh resort of Sea Island. Since he came to Washington, he leased another big house in the city's most exclusive neighborhood, and he took a pay cut of almost $100,000. Up to now, all that's been largely ignored, but the committee is sure to delve deeply into the question of whether the government's budget boss is even able to pay his own bills. And that may be more embarrassing than anything that's come out so far. Dan Courts, ABC News, Washington.
Back during the presidential campaign, President Carter promised to streamline the government by cutting the more than 1,000 government advisory boards down to just 200. He missed. The reorganization announced today will still leave 709 boards. But among those that will disappear are such groups as the Board of Tea Experts, the Commandant's Advisory Committee on Marine Corps History, and, unkindest cut of all, the National Peanut Advisory Committee.
People often think that because Schweppes is the extraordinary tonic water, it should be treated in an extraordinary way. Now, it's true, everything Schweppes touches, it improves. And it's true, only Schweppes has that famous Schweppescence with its curiously refreshing quality. But you don't have to go to such great lengths. Schweppes makes things special anytime, any place. Schweppes tonic water, the taste maker. Anytime, any place.
Nowadays, I try to be more careful choosing medicines. Sometimes aspirin upset my stomach, so now I take Bufferin. It adds protection ingredients, and it's great for my headaches.
I'm more careful now. I try Tylenol, but it doesn't provide me with an added relief action I want. Bufferin does.
In many cases, Bufferin provides both. An added relief action Tylenol can't, and protection ingredients Anacin and Baird don't.
So now I take Bufferin, because I'm more careful.
The Carter administration has decided to enter a case before the Supreme Court in support of minority preference. That's the principle under which blacks and other minorities are given an edge in some states in applications for employment or higher education. The case now before the court is considered to be as important to civil rights as the 1954 decision in which the court outlawed separate but equal school facilities. Tim O'Brien reports on the case.
This is Alan Bakke. He wants to be a doctor, and he wants to study here at the University of California Medical School at Davis. He was denied admission even though his grades were higher than many of the other students who were admitted. The medical school accepts only 100 new students a year, and 16 of those vacancies are reserved for minorities through an affirmative action program. But Bakke felt the program violated his rights and took the university to court. His suit has touched off a major debate and threatens the future of thousands of similar minority programs all across the country.
Preferential treatment because of race or because of sex is discrimination. It's not reverse discrimination, it's not forward discrimination, it's just discrimination, and it ought to be stopped.
The basic justification for these programs is very simple. It's necessity. We need them. If we're going to do the job, if we're really going to move forward to resolving the American dilemma, we've got to find ways and means of bringing substantial numbers of minorities into the professions.
I believe that given what the Supreme Court has done with respect to affirmative action and the use of numbers in employment, in desegregating of schools, and in voting, that they are fully prepared to do the same thing in higher education if the proper case comes before it.
Preferential treatment for minorities has been likened to starting one controlled forest fire in order to bring another raging one under control. The Carter administration apparently accepts that philosophy, and although its position will be advisory only, it could heavily influence a decision that could change the direction of civil rights in this country for years to come. Tim O'Brien, ABC News, at the Supreme Court.
The Carter administration is using funds from a $257 million program to help communities desegregate their school system. So far this year, some 2,000 school districts have applied for the funds. Desegregation in education and in housing is a matter of changing attitudes. In that, persuasion plays a part for blacks as well as whites. In Los Angeles, Jim Mitchell reports on an advertising program aimed at blacks.
Move on into LA's Valley, the beautiful San Fernando Valley. Are you serious? Move my family to the valley? For sure. Today, the
That is part of a radio commercial that was broadcast over 5 Los Angeles radio stations. It's no ordinary commercial. It's not selling either soap or automobiles. It's selling social change. It was part of a $50,000 advertising campaign, which has just concluded, aimed at the black residents of Los Angeles' inner city, and based on the belief blacks have stayed in the inner city areas out of fear that they would not be welcomed in the predominantly white suburbs like those of the San Fernando Valley. Changing traditional black attitudes about white neighborhoods is the goal of the program, and the advertising campaign is only one part. The real work is done by volunteers at the local Fair Housing Council. The volunteers take interested buyers or renters on tours of likely neighborhoods to shopping centers, churches, and schools. Potential buyers are also put in touch with real estate brokers, given financing information, and even provided leads for area employment opportunities. During the 4 months that the advertising campaign was underway, 1,100 blacks responded, like Garnett and Denise Moore, who are now buying this valley home, which is under construction. Or like Walter and Rosalie Clark, who will soon be leaving this apartment for a home they're buying in the valley.
Taking the tour, seeing what it looked like, even meeting some people in the houses that we looked at helped greatly to relieve much of the apprehension. And now it's just up to us, I think, as individuals to see how we can fit in.
But one of the most surprising things about the program is the amount of support it has received from the white community, particularly the real estate industry. Los Angeles is the first large city where this program has been tried, and officials from a number of other metropolitan areas who are considering the program are watching its progress here closely. Jim Mitchell, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Imagine, every 30 seconds, a savings and loan association helps a family buy or build their own home. That's every 30 seconds, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. The fact is, savings and loans finance more homes than all other financial institutions combined. Think of it. That's one home every 30 seconds. This message was brought to you by the Savings and Loan Foundation.
Right in the camera.
Hey there, Bright Eyes. Maybe you needed Nytol last night. Maybe you had trouble falling asleep. Well, that's what Nytol's all about. On those occasional nights when you do have trouble, Nytol can help make you drowsy so you can fall asleep. Come on, America. Stop yawning. For occasional sleeplessness, remember, Nitol.
What happens when people taste grape nut cereal for the first time?
Scout's Honor. It's crunchy.
Well, I don't know what it's made of, but it tastes nutty.
It tastes natural and it tastes grainy, like I'm eating something that came right off the stalk in a farm.
It's a good taste, and if the good taste didn't wake you up in the morning, I guess the good crunch would.
Post Grape Nuts is a natural cereal, fortified with vitamins. It has the crunchy, nutty taste people like.
It's still crunchy. I'll eat the whole bowl and it'll still be crunchy.
What a day!
Let's take a lot of pictures, okay?
Because your memories are important.
All right.
And because they happen only once, they deserve quality processing.
Hold it.
You can give your memories quality care.
Let's mail the film tonight, okay?
With convenient Kodak mailers. Just drop in your Kodak color film, stamp, mail to Kodak, and Kodak will mail your prints right to your home.
What a shot.
What a subject.
Buy Kodak mailers for quality processing.
Secretary of State Vance, representing the first initiative by the Carter administration to China, has now spent 3 full days in Peking. Much of that time has been spent laying out for the Chinese the American view of the world. Some of the time, while the Chinese digested what Mr. Vance had to say, was spent biding his time with various elements of Chinese culture. In the evening, Mr. Vance was advised by his China experts that there were messages in a brilliant performance by Chinese jugglers, acrobats, and magicians. The women, they believed, were allowed more signs of femininity than during the just-ended Cultural Revolution. There was even a dress or two. Certainly, there was a minimum of revolutionary flags and an almost complete absence of political rhetoric. China watchers believe this is intended to indicate the society will loosen up and be less dogmatic. Chinese in the audience actually gasped at one point to see a Chinese magician dressed in the ancient costume of a mandarin. During the regime just ousted here, a mandarin's costume would be worn only by villains, usually political ones.
This afternoon Peking time, a more substantial session for Mr. Vance. His first with a leading member of the Chinese Politburo, the Vice Premier Deng Xiaoping. They agreed that their 2.5-hour discussion had been useful. Mr. Vance found them frank. Tonight, during the toast of the banquet, Mr. Deng said the Chinese view was that China and America should move forward to normalize relations.
There's no way to know just yet why Mr. Deng has seen Mr. Vance. The Chinese may be pleased about American proposals for normalizing relations. Conversely, Mr. Deng, one of China's more blunt, outspoken leaders, may be telling Mr. Vance that continuing U.S. recognition of Taiwan is still completely unacceptable in China. I'm Peter Jennings in Peking.
Marion, look what I just got for Amy.
Pretty. But how's the new mother?
Frankly, I could sure use a book on laxatives.
Haven't you heard about X-Lax pills?
Pills?
They're gentle, easy to take, and contain a medically proven effective ingredient.
Medically proven effective?
Think of it this way, Helen. X-Lax gently stimulates your system's own regular rhythm for relief in the morning.
X-Lax pills. You learn something new every day.
Lots of folks need help now and then.
Are you going back to work? Well, that's when you may need some extra confidence. Discover Oil of Olay, the mysterious beauty fluid that can help you look younger. You see, Oil of Olay creates a dewy climate for your skin, easing dryness so your face can look softer and glowing. Pure moisture, tropical oil, and emollients go right into your skin, and there's no greasy look or feel. Shouldn't you and Oil of Olay go to work together?
Discover the secret of Oil of Olay. It can help you look younger, too. Behind the lies, behind the closed doors, there's a Washington you've never seen. A president's power.
Now, you reporter, let's just get Richard Monkton time again. Well, I've had it.
A president's revenge.
You've got a lot of enemies. We'll keep you busy, all right, for the next 4 years.
A story you've only guessed at. All America will be talking about the 6 explosive nights of Washington behind closed doors.
Beginning Tuesday, September 6th, here on ABC.
Wednesday, the Bradfords are challenged to a friendly game of football.
That was two-hand touch, wasn't it?
That turns into a grudge match.
He might have 8 guys on his team.
So what?
On his team.
So what?
They'll kill us, that's what.
You ready? You're not ready.
8 is enough.
It's a penalty for pornographic propositioning.
Then the Angels will do anything to bust a case.
I'm the subsonic man.
And Beretta does everything to save 3 runaways, right after 8 is Enough and Charlie's Angels.
In other news, secret FBI files were released today showing the Bureau wiretapped the headquarters of the National Lawyers Guild from 1947 to 1951. There's also evidence that FBI agents broke into offices of Guild members. The Lawyers Guild, which was founded to promote civil liberties, has filed a multi-million-dollar harassment suit against the FBI. ABC News has learned that top New York City officials, including the mayor, and 6 major banks will be sharply criticized in a Securities and Exchange Commission report to be issued on Friday. The SEC will charge that they withheld information about the bad state of New York's financial problems in 1974 and 1975, apparently so investors would not be scared off from buying municipal bonds. London's busy Heathrow Airport was in chaos again today because of the work slowed down by air traffic control assistance. Thousands of tourists have been stranded, and it looks like the situation is getting worse. James Walker narrates this report.
All they can do is wait, the thousands of travelers who have been delayed by the work slowdown now in its 9th day. It has crippled Heathrow, London's major airport, forcing cancellation of 88 daily flights, including the Concorde supersonic transport to Washington, D.C. The slowdown results from a wage dispute by 850 people whose job it is to keep aircraft flying on course. They make about $6,000 a year, and they want a 17% wage increase. The British government, already reeling under high inflation, says pay hikes are restricted to 10% by wage guidelines. The workers say if there is no concession, they will begin a 4-day strike Friday, which coincidentally is the start of a major 3-day British holiday. James Walker, ABC News.
There are no problems with the jets taking off and landing at a U.S. Air Force base in Arizona, even though some of the airmen had qualms about the new breed of jet pilots called women. Bill Redeker has details.
This is Williams Air Force Base near Phoenix. This is where the Air Force trains its pilots. 21,000 men have been awarded their silver wings here. But a year ago, 10 women began training here for the first time in Air Force history. And at first, Captain Mary Donahue was a little unsure of herself.
I hope that I have no doubt that I can measure up, but it's very demanding.
Today, after flying more than 200 hours in jet aircraft, Captain Donahue is about to graduate. She says the training was demanding, but now she's more confident.
Well, it was certainly a very demanding program, and I'm a lot surer of myself now, a lot more confident in flying the plane.
Initially, the sight of a woman suiting up raised a few eyebrows. Male pilots had doubts that the women were strong enough and quick enough to handle supersonic aircraft. But tests have proved them wrong, and resentment is beginning to fade.
Well, you always got your male ego that, women can't do it the same, but apparently they can because they got through the program and they're doing a good job.
Captain Donahue and the other women pilots will be assigned to fly cargo and training aircraft. Congress says they may not fly in combat, but Air Force brass says they are qualified.
Physically, the women are capable of flying any type of aircraft. I believe they're motivated enough to fly a fighter aircraft. I would anticipate no problems with their participation in combat.
2 more classes of women will be trained here, and then the Air Force will decide whether to permanently train women pilots. But that may not be an easy decision. While all 10 in the first class are expected to graduate, so far 4 have dropped out of the second class. Bill Redeker, ABC News, Williams Air Force Base, Arizona.
It used to be that the Volkswagen Beetle was right up there in the big numbers when car sales in the U.S. were reported, but not now. Only 700 new Beetles were shipped to U.S. dealers from Germany this month, and they are probably the last. Tom Schell tells us more about the car known affectionately as the Bug, and why it will in time roll off into the sunset.
The Volkswagen Beetle has been the world's most popular car. 20 million have been produced so far. The Beetle is a common sight in London, along the River Seine in Paris, and in New York's Times Square. Nearly 5 million Beetles have been sold in the United States since 1949, but because of the cost of meeting new emission and safety standards, Volkswagen stopped importing the Beetles to the United States this month. This 1946 model was the first one ever brought to the United States. Now owned by Volkswagen of America, the car was originally purchased at a U.S. Army PX in Germany by a World War II GI. Volkswagen means people's car, and people have